I don't think I can put up with the madness anymore.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's get started on that.
Zelda time.
Alright.
I think we should. Let's do Four Swords first.
Okay.
It's good. They added a single-player mode, so people could enjoy it without having to find 4 people who have it.
Yeah, but it's.
Do you play all 4 at once?
Now you play
play
2 at once for some reason.
The single player mode, like, it's fine, but that's not how the game was meant to be played. You know, like.
Right, you could tell it was
Yeah.
meant for 4 people.
It's sort of weird playing it in single player, but I played it 4-player across 4 different consoles with the kids that I babysit, and like, it's a blast. You know, it's 4 swords. You're being complete assholes to each other, sort of vaguely cooperating, and it's a blast. And I think it's really cool how you can play across any version of the DS or 3DS. You know, that's
Not
well done.
not any version.
Well, okay, you know, DSi or 3DS, like DSi XL. You know.
Well, yeah, either of those can play with the 3DS.
Just being able to play between the 3DS and DS with download play, I think is awesome. So nice job. And it's free, so can't go wrong there. Or it was free. I don't think you can even get it at all anymore.
Can you not? I thought. Are you sure?
I think it's available till like May, I want to say, but I don't know if to look that up.
That's kind of strange.
That they would just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Either way, I thought it was pretty cool.
Cool.
That's pretty much all I have to say.
What is it? Is it a port of like the original Link to the Past minigame or what?
It's the Link to the Past 4 Swords that was included with there, but there's new maps, but inspired by like the original Legend of Zelda and Link to the Past, and I think like the Oracle games. Yeah. No, Link's Awakening is the other. Yeah, Link's Awakening. So there's like new maps, which is very cool.
It's available till February 20th.
Oh, okay. All right. But yeah, like, you know, the original 4 Swords that came with Link to the Past was very short. It was only 3 stages. And it was fun, but it was a distraction from A Link to the Past. And with the new maps they've added to it, it's sort of a little more fleshed out, like its own sort of thing.
It's an enhanced port.
Yeah, that's neat. That's all.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a nice distraction. But then we have a fantastic remake in Ocarina of Time 3D.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
You can't really go wrong with Ocarina of Time, okay? It's one of the most popular games of all time. Many people consider it to be the best game of all time. And, like, that really shines through with Ocarina of Time 3D because, like, obviously I knew going into it that it was going to be Ocarina of Time, you know, it was going to be good. But what I didn't know was that they would actually be able to improve a masterpiece. How do you make a game that is already practically perfect better? Well, Nintendo
Well, for one, you make the iron boots an item instead of equipment.
Yeah.
That was really all they did, Matt, was they fixed the very nitpicky problems with the original game. You know, that was really all they could have done. Like, they made a few small changes that make the overall experience better. Like, the boots are items that you can map to the screen, so you don't have to constantly pause in the water temple and equip them.
And
they made
the
the ocarina. The ocarina is always equipped now, so you don't have to waste a slot on it.
And
you
you can hold 4 items now.
Yeah, instead of 3.
Like, they added so much, like, but they didn't really add that much, but they added enough to it to make it literally a masterpiece. Like, I talked to Ricky and everybody about this, but I think Ocarina of Time is not my favorite Zelda game. That honor goes to Wind Waker, and, you know, everybody has a different favorite Zelda game. But I think Ocarina of Time has the least amount of flaws of any Zelda game. Like,
I think I agree. Absolutely.
Like,
Go ahead.
like you could point out flaws in all of them. Like, even Wind Waker, you know, it has the Tingle side quest and the sailing and like that. All that stuff, like, it does hamper it. It's still my favorite Zelda game, but it, for all the good, is better than the bad. But it still has some things that are bad. And in Ocarina of Time, there's nothing I could really point to that is necessarily badly designed or just brings the game down. And any of the small nitpicky things that there was, they fixed them all in Ocarina of Time 3D. So it is perfect. There's literally nothing wrong with the game at all. And like it's a pleasure to play it again, even after all these years. The 3D looks great. They updated the graphics just enough so that it remains true to the original, but it still looks beautiful. And like it's a fantastic game, fantastic remake. Obviously, if you don't want to buy a remake again, you don't have to buy it. But I would recommend it to anybody who has a 3DS. Like, I think it's a great game. Obviously,
I would say this would be the definitive version of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it should be also mentioned that it comes with Master Quest and it's mirrored. So it's
a
even more
different game. Yeah. Also, boss rush mode.
Boss rush mode.
Yeah, and you're able to face them.
That's pretty awesome.
If you, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Boss rush mode is pretty awesome.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, like, just adding that made it even better.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that every Zelda is going to have a boss rush mode
from now on.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
I think they should.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Who doesn't love boss rushes?
I know. Or just facing each boss separately.
I hope they remake Majora's Mask. But
There was a boss rush
in
Spirit Tracks, actually.
Oh,
really?
There's one in Skyward Sword.
I didn't finish Spirit Tracks. I'm close to the end. No.
Well, it was really completely optional, just like it was in Skyward Sword. But it was right there in Hyrule Castle. Like, there's this witch who has 3 doors, and one of them is all of the bosses again.
Oh, that's right. They did. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I forgot about that.
Well, you guys keep mentioning Skyward Sword, so I guess you should get onto that. I don't have it, so I can't talk about it.
I'm already up an hour later than I intended to be. I didn't know we were going to talk about everything all night.
Hey, at least you're up, though.
That's the point of the podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, guys. I don't have it, so I can't join.
I don't have it, but I can talk shit like I do.
Skyward Sword is awesome. It totally deserves all of the praise that it's getting and very little of the criticism. Negative.
Well, some of the criticism is that the motion controls don't always work perfectly.
That is really annoying.
It's not always as one-to-one as Wii Motion Plus wants to be. I'll admit it.
It's true, and that is a problem, but I don't think it lessens my enjoyment of the game. Like, if you read my review of it on the Adamant Ditto blog, pimp, basically one of the things I said was that, like, for all the frustrations that you have dealing with the motion controls, it's worth it because you can't play this game any other way. Like, it needs motion controls for this game to even exist because of the way that it's designed. And, like, it's worth grappling with it because the core game design is so good and such immerses you in the world so thoroughly. Like, you when you're trying to fight with the sword and stuff, if you swaggle like you would in Twilight Princess, because that's all you have to do in Twilight Princess. You just rush into a bunch of enemies, you just bum rush them and waggle and cut them down and walk away like a champion. If you try that at Skyward Sword, you get absolutely destroyed, as you would in a real sword fight. You can't just go and play, I'm going to do this, and if you walk into it, it's your fault. In a real sword fight, that's not how it works. And Skyward Sword does a terrific job of, like, teaching you, you slowly feel yourself learning how to control this sword and how to get it to do what you need it to do. And you eventually, I think, if you stick with Skyward Sword and you try your best, to learn this sword controls, I think you eventually arrive at a point where you realize that every time you died and every time that, something didn't go your way, even if it was because you couldn't stab when you were trying to, you realize that all those mistakes and all those deaths were your fault and not the fault of the gameplay. And I think that's really... I've never played a game like that, and I've never even imagined that one could exist with that level of depth in combat. You have to think really hard on every single swing of the sword, and you have to execute them in the proper way. You like every single enemy in the game, even from just
The Skeltalas.
the most basic like choo-choos in the game. They're just blobs. They just hop at you. You think in every Zelda game, one hit kills them. And even in this game, you have to think on how you kill them, because if you stab them, nothing
It
happens.
doesn't hurt them, yeah.
That's right, they're immune to stabs. And big ones, if you slice them sideways, they'll just become big ones again.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, you have to cut them in half, the bigger they are, If you cut them vertically, they split into two halves. But if you cut them sideways, the top half just falls back onto the bottom half. So you've effectively done nothing by side slashing them. So every single enemy, you have to think on how you combat them. And I think that's the truly masterful thing about Skyward Sword. The most amazing thing about it is the combat system.
I rarely found stabbing as difficult as you said it was. There was only like a couple times where BMOs wrecked me because a stab didn't work. It's like actually wasn't until several dungeons in that BMO gave me a hard time. I was like, oh sweet, that's what this line is? Ping, ping, stab, and I was like, I am the champion, I am the best.
I'm totally with you. Like, when I first started playing the game, I was like, these controls are garbage. It won't let me stab when I want to, because I would get wrecked by Skulltulas and BMOs, which force you to stab. But like I said, I arrived at a point where, as a player, I was like, all right, I was just an idiot before. Like, the game is not the cause of me not knowing how to stab things. Like, I wasn't controlling it the right way. I wasn't doing the input right. And I arrived at a point as a player where I could walk up to a BMOS and just like a fucking ninja, just like end up behind it, cut it in half, stab it, and it would be dead. And I felt like a champion. It was this amazing feeling where you're mowing down enemies that gave you trouble previously because you've grown and matured as a swordsman.
Except for bringing Buckhoblins. Buckhoblins never get easy.
Buckhoblins! Don't get me started.
They're so easy. Just Skyward Strike.
I beat two Lizalfos faster than I can beat one Bokoblin. Skyward Sword. But I'm not that far, so maybe I haven't just learned.
Hit them with Skyward Strikes. Like, you get this, the Bokoblins, they block your attacks, right? So you have to come from the other side. And it's really tricky. It's quite difficult. But eventually, you get to these Bokoblins with electric swords, and if you attack them wrong, instead of them just blocking their attack, you take damage from the electricity. But they're all easy. You could all take them out with the Skyward Strike, just from a distance. Like, the thing that I love about this game is that every enemy in the game is a lot. It seems very difficult at first, but you eventually figure things out and you learn the way the game is played and how to do things, and they all get easier as you go along, in my opinion. And I think
these are some of the coolest bosses.
Yeah.
Galactos is the coolest. He's up there. He would be on our list if we were doing it now.
He would have been on mine. He's awesome. But there's a lot of great bosses in this game. I think Levius is amazing, flying around. I think all three fights with the Imprisoned are really cool. They're really harrowing.
Oh my gosh, and that was another thing that you really love about this game, and it's a very good thing to love, is how many wonderful, colorful characters there are.
Yes.
Friggin' Groose is the most hilarious thing since Beetle.
I know. One of my favorite Zelda characters of all time. Like, the cast in this game, the characters are so amazing. And I don't just mean the ones like Groose and Fi, who are important to the story, but I mean...
Is it Fi or Fi?
I think it's Fi.
Fi, whatever.
Fofo.
Because, like, before the game came out and she had an official name, people thought it was Phi, like the Greek letter. So I think it's supposed to be Phi, but I don't know. Whatever.
Okay, it looks like it's Phi. You're right.
My point is that those characters are great. The ones that are important are great, but it's their job to be great, and they've always been great. In Wind Waker, Medley and Tetra and her pirates and stuff are fantastic characters, but they're important. The thing that Skyward Sword does so well, and that Majora's Mask did so well, and what made Majora's Mask my favorite game until this one, is that all the optional characters that you never even have to talk to if you don't want to, they're still bursting with character, and they're so charming, and they have such personalities and likes and dislikes and schedules and jobs, and it's just the people who live in Skyloft and Skyward Sword are such phenomenal characters, and I love every single one of them for different reasons. And like even Link in Skyward Sword has so many like dialogue options and that give him such a personality when he hasn't had one ever before. You know, he's Link. The fact that you can even name him points to he's the self-insert character. You're supposed to identify with Link, and that's great. I don't have any problem with that. That's also part of why he's always a mute, But like even in this game, he's a mute, but you still get dialogue trees and options to say yes or no or whatever. And he has such a personality that you shape. It's still not. It's not like they just turned him into this Duke Nukem of a badass. He's still controlled by you and molded by you with these dialogue options, and you give him whatever personality you see fit. I think that's excellent. It's something that hasn't really been seen in a Zelda game yet. And Skyward Sword, I think, for all of its faults, and there are many, I think that flying on a bird the bird constantly turns the wrong way. No matter how,
I never had a problem with the bird.
I always
have neither so far.
I had so many problems with the bird, and you know what? It might be that I have, my couch is at a weird angle, or that I have a glass coffee table, but I still call that a fault of game design. Variables like that shouldn't affect the way my game controls compared to yours. But whatever. For the faults that I have with the game, they do nothing to diminish my enjoyment of it. I think it's a marvel of game design, one of the best this year, and probably the best on the Wii.
Yeah, there's an 85% chance this is my new favorite Zelda game.
Oh, high. That's pretty high. Oh my gosh. And the thing about Groose that I just love is that it's like he's introduced and you're just like, man, I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. And then the end comes, and it's like, man, I love Groose. I love Groose so much. And I'm like, Nintendo, I hate you, but I love you.
He has all the characters in this game have such an arc to them. They all change by the end of the game, and it's great. Great stuff. GG.
Girahim turned out to be one of my big complaints about Twilight Princess is Zant for just completely ruining himself. But Girahim does everything that Zant did wrong, but he does them correctly. I think that's how I want to say it.
You mean he doesn't do anything that Zant does wrong?
Everything that Zant did that went in the wrong direction, Girahim does and takes it in the right direction.
Okay.
I agree. I think Girahim's a great villain. And tell us why, Kyle.
Well, it's like the thing about Zant is that he just all of a sudden, first I thought he was a total badass until you finally fought him, and it turns out that he's just this crazy wacky doodad boss. And it's just like, no, this isn't Zant. This whole time he's been wrecking everything, and
what was also frustrating about Zant was that, Ganon stole the villain seed out from underneath him, and that's not a surprise, because that's every Zelda game does that. Every Zelda game does that pretty much ever, but, it's still...
Girahim does that one right. Does that right, too. See, the thing is that they establish Girahim as the flamboyant and character he is from the start. Yeah. And also establish the latent anger that he's suppressing early on, so that when he does freak out, you're not surprised. In fact, you're anticipating it. And they also set up the fact that he's searching for his master the entire time. So when he takes a step back, you're not surprised at it at all. But I'll tell you what, that's not a spoiler, because I'm still hiding the big secret of Girahim. Battle's going to rock your socks off if you're not there yet.
It's pretty awesome, yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it coming, but when I did, I was like, holy man, this can't be... Oh my gosh, that's amazing!
The story in this game is actually told really well. Like, I don't know that it's necessarily so much better than in any other Zelda game. It's still, you're looking for the princess, and you're fighting evil and stuff, and resurrecting old evil and things like that, and finding the Triforce. It's not so much that it's this more revolutionary new story that's so great. It's just told so well. The cutscenes are so potent, and the characters are so alive. And,
gosh, we beat the third dungeon. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to make this comparison with you, because I've told it to Rick, and it's just great.
Yeah, it's told really well. That's the best way I can explain it.
Alright, I can't wait.
Yeah. Terrific game. Everybody should play it.
You guys pretty much summed up, like, almost everything I wanted to say about the game.
Oh, sorry, Don, but if there's anything else you want to add, we'd love to hear it.
I fucking love bug catching.
Oh yeah,
do that hours on end.
Bug catching's much better once you get the big bug net.
Yeah, of course, man.
That is one of my
find some tumbleweeds.
That is one of my favorite.
That's much better than it was in Twilight Princess 2.
Not just catching bugs, but like using the bugs and like the treasures that you find to upgrade your weapons and stuff.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite aspects of the game. Reminds me a lot of the One Piece game for the Wii. Obviously, Skyward Sword is way better, but I don't think the One Piece game is bad. There were a lot of things to enjoy about it, and it's cool to see some of those elements employed in Skyward Sword.
I wanted to mention that, like, unlike in Twilight Princess, there were things to spend your rupees on. Like, you didn't even have this magic armor that drained your money. Like, you had, like, the upgrades, you had potions, you have, like, shields to buy,
pouches,
bags,
and upgrades.
You have, like, lots of stuff that you can buy with the money that you've earned from, like, I don't know, cutting grass or just dungeoning,
Yeah, I think rupees are really nice and easy to come by in this game, too, because you can sell the bugs that you catch and the treasures that you find, and you can use them to upgrade your shit. It's just a really well-designed game, in my opinion.
That you get, like, just enough rupees, really, like the rate of getting rupees, really, to, like, progress through the game. But if you're, like, really ever hurting for money, you can just, like, sell bugs or treasures.
Yeah, and the other thing is that you don't need to upgrade your shield and your beetle and stuff, but
it's not a requirement.
It makes the game easier if you do. And, like, I think that's a pretty well-employed mechanic where just by playing the game more and doing more stuff, it becomes easier. And that sort of ties into learning how to use the sword and stuff, like I said before.
Sword and shield.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the combat in this game. Also, I love the fact that, like, all the items you get in this game you use throughout the entire game.
They do a much better job than Twilight Princess and even a lot of other Zelda games at making all the dungeon items relevant after.
They also have the beetle, which is the best item in any Zelda game ever.
Fucking love the beetle.
The beetle, like, is used in every single dungeon.
Every single dungeon.
All over the place. So that's one of the best examples. But even, like, the whip is pretty useful in all the dungeons after you get it. And
I forgot the whip was in this.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, you're
I
not
can't
there
wait.
yet.
And, like, bombs and stuff, I mean, obviously bombs are used all over the place, but
they fixed the big problem with bombs, or they didn't fix the problem, but they made something really cool. You could just put bombs away.
Yeah.
When I was playing this game, I made the comparison from Skyward Sword to Minish Cap, and you were like, "Oh, why, man?" And I was like, I just feel like that since this game has dungeons before dungeons, it's like Minish Cap in that sense, because Minish Cap also has dungeons before dungeons, but, like, also in Minish Cap, like, I recently played it back as a ambassador title on my 3DS, right? And, like, in that game, you, like, also use the items throughout the entire game,
Yeah, I think I would agree. I remember the Gust Jar and that, like, Flippy Rod. I know that's not what it's called, but I remember those being useful well beyond the dungeons where you earned them for the first time.
I wish it was called the Flippy Rod.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't, but...
Have you not played Minish Cap?
Not fully.
We're not
Can't
talking to
watch
Foley, we're talking to Matt.
No, you know what I meant. Not completely, not to completion.
I see. It's a shame.
Yeah,
Oh, you should play Minish Cap and Skyward Sword.
yes, I should. Let me hop right on that.
Those are both fantastic games.
I know, I want to play Skyward Sword, I don't have it.
But there are definitely some like extremely low lows, like musical tadpoles.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem I have with Skyward Sword is like not just the musical tadpoles, but like the collecting tiers and stuff. There's a lot of like obvious padding.
There's a fetch quest for every dungeon.
And like you don't just find treasures. You find cubes that you activate, and then you have to go back to the sky
treasures.
and go get the treasures. There's a lot of like obvious methods that they use to make the game longer, and that sort of bugs me. But it's such a fun ride while it lasts that I'm able to look past it. You know, I don't think it ruins. Like I said, none of the problems I have with the game lessen my enjoyment of it in any way. So like, I think that is a problem. I don't think that's quite perfect game design there. But
The musical tadpoles were a bit of a stretch, though.
that was probably, I think, the lowest point in the game. Because, like, at least the collecting tiers, that's, like, story relevant, you know? And it's vastly improved over collecting tiers in Twilight Princess. I will say that. Vastly improved for so many reasons. But, like, the tadpole thing comes out of nowhere. It grinds the game to a halt. They force you to collect all of them. And I know why they did it, and I don't want to spoil it. But, like, I understand why they did it, but I think there was a better way to go about
Doing it?
doing it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Real quick, again, of course, I wanted to say, like, the art style, I really, really dig it.
Yeah.
I read on message boards and they're just like, oh my god, I just want another, like, Twilight Princess or, like, that Wii U demo, I just want my Zelda to look like that. I'm just like, no, dude, fucking Skyward Sword looked amazing.
That's not
It's
how...
like watercolor and it's beautiful.
It does. It looks like a painting, sort of.
Right.
That's really impressive. I want any game. I'm not talking about what's just like, my Zelda games should be colorful. I think video games in general, about any subject matter, should have lots of color and just be interesting to look at. Be art forms in themselves. I don't want to see blue and I don't want to see brown and muscles. Like, I don't want that. Me as a consumer, I understand, you know, I'm not the norm or whatever, and you can't just make all of your games to tailor to my tastes. That's not what I'm saying, but personally, I will always favor games that are really colorful and expressive to games like Twilight Princess that are blue and brown and not expressive. Like, the characters and the story in Twilight Princess feel so much less potent because they were so afraid, after Wind Waker, they were so afraid to be cartoony that they just didn't take any chances, and they just made it as gritty and brown and realistic and muscly as they possibly could, and I just didn't buy into that at all.
Well, I think that's not like how the Zelda series is supposed to be, but that's, you know, mostly because most of them, like the older games, like the one Matt's playing, is probably more colorful. I mean, yeah, the screen right now is all brown and orange.
Yeah, but look at Link. He's bright green. The trees are bright green. The fairies are bright orange. The moblins are bright orange and bright blue. You know, like, obviously, your entire game, you have to have parts that are brown. Lanayru Desert in Skyward Sword is very brown. It's a fucking desert, okay?
Right.
But there has to be parts that are color. It can't just be all desert, all caves, all forests, you know. There's the volcanoes in Skyward Sword look unbelievable. They're just they're so orange and like it looks like a volcano. Like when you're in, obviously you can't be in a volcano in real life. Okay? But lava's bright orange. It's not it lights up. In real life, lava lights up everything anywhere near it, and that's the effect that you see in Skyward Sword. It looks great. And the forest in Skyward Sword looks great. It's bright green, and there's all sorts of colorful creatures and stuff to fight. I just like my games colorful. That's the kind of games that I want to play. That's part of why I like Kirby's Return to Dreamland so much. And Sonic Generations.
Yeah, man. Colorful.
Hell yeah, look at those backgrounds in our Let's Play.
Yeah.
I think Wind Waker was a step in the right direction in terms of graphics, but I understand why they didn't stick with it. It was
poorly received,
Yeah.
which I think is very indicative of what idiots society is.
Society is like, oh my gosh, I want real.
Yeah, I think, like, personally, Wind Waker has my favorite, like, art style of any game ever made. Ever.
It does. Me too, man. I think it has the best Zelda art style. I think it's unfortunate that, A, it was so poorly received, and B, since Wind Waker, Nintendo's copied that style with, like, half of the Zelda games that have come out since then. You know what I mean? Like, Four Swords. Phantom Hourglass, that's a sequel, so okay, I'll forgive it. But, like, Four Swords and Spirit Tracks and Minish Cap have the Wind Waker art style, and they have no real reason to, you know?
Uh-huh.
I'm not complaining because, like I said, obviously I really like it. It's very colorful, very expressive. The Link in Wind Waker is more expressive than any Link before or since. But what I really admire about Skyward Sword is that it sort of finds its own style. You know, it's not just a compromise between Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. It's the perfect compromise. They have just the right amount of color, just the right amount of realism, just the right amount of expression and character, and it's just... It really does find its own style. I think it looks, as Don said earlier, it looks like a painting, you know.
How's you?
Well,
I said it looked like watercolor.
well, that's... Watercolor...
A kind of painting.
Yeah.
Or paint,
But
I guess.
Specifically, you said it looked like a painting.
Whatever. I just think it's really pleasing to look at. Even if some of the models could stand to be a little less pointy, I think that it has a really unique style, and it's a joy to look at. But I think we've pretty well belabored that Skyward Sword is an awesome game, so I think we could wrap it up pretty soon.
I think... hold on, let me see if I can... Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. Like,
All right.
the stamina system in the game, it really works well with the combat and running around.
It's almost like what, I hate to bring him up now, but Egoraptor, what he was saying about the improvements they made to Mega Man X, how, like, slopes, how they make it so your progress isn't just brought to a halt when you reach a wall. The fact that Link's able to run up walls is so time-saving that I've been trying to do it when I'm playing Ocarina of Time again, and I'm like, nope, it's a roll! Ah!
Right. Yeah, that's always good.
They pulled off the stamina system, which everyone was skeptical about, amazingly.
Yeah, I agree.
Putting
But it
stamina
makes
fruits
sense.
in all the right places.
Yeah, that's true as well. Oh, that was another thing. Things in the right place, save points. They had save points everywhere. Like,
Save points
I
at the
know-
wazoo.
we've talked about this plenty of times. Like,
Yeah, I
there
was
should
very
be-
skeptical of that, and so is Matt, because he has to, you know, he's like, I'm not sold on the save points yet, you know, but you're never in danger of, like, having to play another half hour when you're trying to go somewhere with your family.
Look, I believe you guys about the save states. Like, I'm not skeptical of it anymore. But I think in this day and age, save points in video games should not be a thing at all. The game, you should just be able to press pause and save whenever you want, wherever you want, or even better, the game should just save for you. Why in this day and age do I still have to find a little spinning circle on the ground to go save in Kingdom Hearts? Why do I have to, why do I have to be at a certain place just to be able to save my game? I hate that. That's one of my biggest problems with any video game, and the save system in Majora's Mask is my biggest problem with Majora's Mask. And like,
It's the biggest problem with Majora's Mask. Like, that's not just like your personal opinion. Like, it's frustrating. I mean, it's deliberate, and it's not like obviously it came after Ocarina of Time where you could save anywhere, so it's not like they just fucked up and forgot. Like, that was a design decision, and you can either think it works or it doesn't work, but the fact of the matter is that it deliberately complicates matters when you're trying to save, you know? And that can be very, very frustrating. I think that's a problem with the game. But
I hate save points, but I'll take your word for it that, like, Skyward Sword, despite the fact that it has save points, it works out.
They're just they're everywhere. You're always within spitting distance of a save point in Skyward Sword. So
I want to say, like, as a sort of like counter argument, I remember like when we played Sonic Generations and you were doing the trophy thing, you were complaining about when it was auto saving, like it was saving every time after the trophy, and that could be like awesome, you know. It's like halting the game for like, some small.
It's also like auto-saving in particular. I think in Skyward Sword you should be able to just press start and save whatever you want, but whatever, it works just fine the way it is. But auto-saving I don't think would work in a game like Skyward Sword where you can sell shit and you might sell something important and it auto-saves and then you can never get it back, or you have to work really hard to get it back. There's actually nothing in Skyward Sword that you can permanently lose, so I'm full of shit. But like, you know, if you find a really rare item and you sell it and you realize that it's really rare and you're like, oh shit, I wish I hadn't sold it because I need it for this upgrade. Now I have to go to the middle of the desert and hunt for it, you know. And if it autosaved, that would fuck everything up. So
right.
In a game like Skyward Sword specifically, autosaving wouldn't work as a mechanic.
Well, still, every game you should just be able to press start and save. Save points shouldn't exist in this day and age. That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Skyward Sword amazing.
Bless you.
Highlights definitely overshadow the lowlights.
Is that a word?
I think so.
Low lights?
I would say like low points and high points.
Bless you.
Anyway, yeah, I think we've talked at great length about how awesome Skyward Sword is. I think we can wrap.
All right, so would we say that this is a good year for games?
I would say it was a great year. Like Phil said at the very beginning of this podcast, there were so many different series that got a new revolutionary entry that revitalized it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was a great year. I think there were a lot of great games that I played and loved this year.
Yeah. There's plenty of games that came out in 2011 that we still need to play, like Skyward Sword for that as an example.
And Skyrim for all of us but Phil.
Yeah.
Or Ghost Trick for me.
Yeah.
But plenty more.
Ghost Trick for everybody, apparently.
Yeah, Ghost Trick for the whole world.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of games that I missed out on the first time around, and I completed it this time, like Birth by Sleep. That was cool.
That game's like 2 years old.
Hey man, I finally got to beating it. As well as like Diabolical Box, Red Dead Redemption. Working on my future.
Well, I still have to beat all 4 Professor Laytons, so...
I'm working on Persona 3 Portable right now. I fucking lost like 3 hours of progress, and I was reminded of why I always stop playing this game. It gets bullshit sometimes, and oh my god. Fuck this shit.
The most important thing that happened this year is we started a blog.
Right.
And
there's
forum.
plenty of like big things with Adamant Ditto. Like, yeah, the blog, the forum.
Time to whore ourselves out.
Well, we do it at the end of every podcast. We completed our longest Let's Play this year.
Mm-hmm.
We did our first live
Paper
event.
We did several live events.
We did,
Yeah.
but we also did our first. We beat all we beat all the classic NES Mega Man games.
That's right.
So now we're out of, Mega Man games. Now what do we do? I don't know. Where do we go from here?
I gotta play the 8-bit Rockman 8.
Yes.
We had our first interactive live thing in Mario Kart.
My phone doesn't remember that. Yes, we.
Yeah, we got the viewers involved.
Mm-hmm.
Played games with the viewers for the first time.
There was a lot of big stuff for Adamant Ditto. So yeah.
I think it's been a good year on the whole.
And I'm sure.
Can we expect 2012 to be as good?
I do.
I hope so.
I'm betting against that whole end of the world thing. So.
Yeah, me too.
Well, what is it? 3DS is probably going to start taking off now that it's had a holiday. It's got Kid Icarus coming up.
It's got more.
It's got Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And it's got Mario Kart.
That's right.
Mario
Which
Kart
sold
DS.
phenomenally slow down here. Gosh, there was oh my gosh, I think we've only ever gotten like one batch of Mario Kart down here, and I still managed to buy it.
Damn.
Mario Kart in 3D Land sold over 1 million copies, though. I thought they were
Yeah.
like the big million sellers.
At Christmas,
Maybe we're
yeah.
getting a lot more shipments than I can imagine, but it's like I feel like I should have seen an empty slot where Mario Kart was at one point in time, but I never did.
Next year should be a good year. I really expect the 3DS to get a lot of. And obviously, we're getting Paper Mario and Kid Icarus and Luigi's Mansion, and Kingdom Hearts. But I expect to get a lot more.
Isn't the Wii U supposed to come out this year? Sorry.
It's supposed to. Yeah. Not to mention Xenoblade Chronicles comes out this
Oh,
year.
right. Everybody buy that so that companies have faith in American audiences.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like amazing. I mean, fucking Famitsu, which not that they have the readers. This is not Famitsu, the magazine itself. They like voted their top 50 games.
Nintendo games.
And yeah, although Banjo-Tooie was on there, but anyway.
They published that.
In Japan, they did. Anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles was like number 6. Like of all Nintendo games of all time, the Famitsu readers thought it was that amazing. So it must be really good. So definitely, I want to check it out. You should all check it out.
That's
When's it come out again?
April. That's going to be the Wii swan song, man.
Yeah.
That's the Wii swan song. Otherwise, we have Rhythm Heaven, which everybody wants to play.
I do.
Yeah.
Great, come on.
And then, I guess that's it for the Wii. Mario Party, but who cares?
You forgot Fortune Street.
Oh, that was this year.
I thought that came out. Yeah.
It did come out this year. Yeah.
But we don't want to. We don't need to talk about that.
I haven't played it. I'm sure it's.
Have you played Monopoly? You played.
I've played the command board. Yeah. All right.
All right. Good enough.
I've played Fortune.
Same thing.
Yeah. So lots of good stuff to look forward to next year. Lots of good stuff. Hopefully on our end as well, from Adamant Ditto.
Mm-hmm.
We will continue. Yeah, all right. Off to a great start with this sentence. When you hear how it's going to end, you're going to laugh even more. We will continue to maintain the level of professionalism that you've expected from us. So.
Hell yeah! Look
Yay!
out for our Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Let's Play, where professionalism runs high.
Can't wait for that.
That should be going up sometime this week. So,
Look to it.
professionalism. So yeah, thanks to everybody who's been tuning in for us these last year and a half. This has been a great year for video games, great year for us, and we will catch you all later.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us, Adamant Ditto fans. I suck at the original Legend of Zelda.
Who doesn't?